Wait. No, I think. That's correctly up.
Do that.
What's that cleaning up?
Don't touch anything on his desk. Do you understand? Give me locations in the comments as y'all are coming in. We are getting started in 1 minute. Let me make sure we got Facebook activated. There we go. Give me locations in the comments. Tell me your location in the comments. And we are good here. Make sure we are good over here. We're good there. We're good over here. Let's make sure we are active here and there. Give me your locations in the comments as y'all are checking in. We're going to get started in a moment. Today we are talking about Donald Trump achieved peace in the Middle East. He did it. Donald Trump achieved peace in the Middle East. We got to talk about it. We're going to discuss it. What happened, how he did it, why he did it, and I'm interested to hear what the anti-Trumpers had to say about this. All right, I know there's a few of you out there. So as you are coming in, shout yourselves out in the comments. Tell me your locations. We'll get started in a moment. We are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble. Live on YouTube. Good morning, YouTube. It looks like, I'm looking at the number total. It looks like we are active on X. I can't see the numbers for X, but it does tell me we're live. We are live on X. Good morning, X. Live on LinkedIn. Yesterday, LinkedIn wasn't working, but it's working today. Live on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is at Dre All Day. Rumble's Dre All Day. YouTube's Dre All Day. X. My name is also Dre All Day. We are live on Facebook. Facebook.com/Work on Your Game University. We are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin and live over here on TikTok. TikTok is at Work on Your Game. Can y'all hear me on? Actually, I don't know if is my sound good on Instagram. Hopefully, it's good on Instagram. And today's topic, once again, Donald Trump achieves peace in the Middle East, something that not many people have been able to achieve. They've been trying, but they haven't been able to do it. So as y'all are coming in, shout yourselves out. Give me your locations in the comments, and let me shout a few people out as we get started. Quail Ridge, good morning from Lincoln, California. First comment, good morning. Congrats, Annie AFF from Kentucky. Good morning, Ashley Mack. Good morning. Thank you for the gifts early. Annie, Quail Ridge, Ashley, Mel, MCR. L. Johnson from Jersey. Good morning. Is it sunny in Jersey? Shout out to it being sunny in New Jersey. I know it's about to get cold up there. Shout out to the people up north. Marky Man from Sacramento. Thanks for the gift. Leona Lever. Good morning, Massachusetts. Courtney checking in from Nashville. Good morning. 140.6 Walnut Creek. ZJ Zender from Ohio. Keep on living life. Ask me a question about Pam Bondi. Should she answer questions? It depends. What's the question? Who asked it? Angela, Rocky Mountain, North Carolina. Corvus say get the soundboard ready. As always ready. Keep on living. You said something about Pam. You asked the question about Pam Bondi twice. Don't spam my comments. Zender said, I can't wait to hear the TDS people about Trump banging peace to the Middle East. Oh, well. And then Z Keep on said it's fake news. I don't know if it's fake news. I wouldn't say that. Now that the fact you even calling it fake news is already telling you exactly where we are right now here today. But that's fine. We're gonna get started in a minute. Don Johnson, Lima, Ohio. Good morning. Furu the Guru said we on time today. Dre LOL. I don't know who we is. Who's we? No, I'm always on time. Whatever time I start, that's the time it starts. But we go 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. here. For those of you who don't know, 8 a.m. Eastern every day is when I do these live streams. Keep on living said strawberry cheesecake. For what point? Sherman Seegers, thank you for the share. Madi, good morning. Millie, good morning. Checking in from North Jersey. Shout out to Jersey. I'm going to listen to the Sammy the Bull Gravano podcast. It's actually a pretty good podcast. He's telling the story of his life in the mafia, and it's actually a pretty good. Excuse me. Sammy's a pretty good storyteller. So those guys were running New Jersey back in the 70s into the 80s. So shout out to those of y'all from Jersey. Jennifer checking in from Tennessee. Thank you, Pep. And thank you for the hearts early on. Topic here today again. President Donald Trump is able to achieve on October 8th, which was yesterday. Donald Trump announced that Israel and Hamas have signed off on the first phase of a U.S. brokered peace framework under his 20-point Gaza proposal. This includes a ceasefire. Israel is going to withdraw their troops to an agreed line, so they're going to pull back from where they have advanced inside of certain areas, and imminent release of all hostages who are still alive in Gaza, because there's still hostages that have been held for 2 years. They're going to be released. Now, Trump called this a historic diplomatic masterstroke. Now, he called it that, but I think even his critics would have to give him credit for this one. He praised mediators who came from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey to help make this happen. He declared it a great day for the Arab and the Muslim world, and Israel and all surrounding nations. Now, Israel government has to approve the deal, so it's contingent on cabinet and parliamentary ratification. I think that's going to go through, but we'll see. Now, under terms that have been publicly discussed, Hamas is going to free about 20 living hostages, the ones they have left, over the coming days in exchange for release of prisoners in Palestine who've been held by Israel. Now, in return, Israel is going to partially withdraw forces and freeze military operations in certain key areas. Now, some reports say this is going to begin a 72-hour countdown where Israel's security, they get to give their formal approval, not security, excuse me, Israel's cabinet, their security cabinet is going to give their formal approval. Now, in Gaza, scenes of cautious celebrations have been reported. Some residents are reportedly, you saw a video of this, so this is not reported. This actually happened. I saw it on social media. There are residents in Gaza chanting President Trump's name because they're very happy and appreciative and celebratory of what it looks like he has achieved up to this point. They're hopeful that hostages will be returned. The conflict will be paused because we know what was happening there. It wasn't really a war. It was really a slaughter, what was happening. And the announcement drew wide international praise from the UN, from European leaders, and Middle Eastern countries, presenting Trump as a great deal maker where previous administrations have struggled to get anything done. I mean, what did the previous administration get done with this? Even Trump tried to he did get certain things done actually during his time as president. Even his biggest detractors during his first administration, the one thing they would give him credit for was his ability to broker some peace in the Middle East in his first administration. And I think one thing people will give him credit for so far in the second administration is his ability to broker peace in the Middle East again, which is what he did this time around, at least so far. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Donald Trump's ability to achieve peace in the Middle East. And again, even his detractors got to give him some credit for this one, even if they're going to try to find ways to act like this didn't happen or didn't at least get to this point. Because if it doesn't go through at this point, then that would be Israel's just saying no. And that's not Trump's failure here. And Trump's whole thing has always been about brokering deals. So he brokered a deal here. You got to give the guy credit. So let's talk about it. Before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks, and run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is to help you weaponize discipline and weaponize presence so that you can have command of the room and produce results consistently and predictably through your systems. You can learn more about working with me at workonyourgameuniversity.com or just send me a text to the number you see in my bio or in the pinned comment, depending on which app you're watching me on right now. My number is 305-384-6894. Send me a text. It's free to text me. I send out a daily motivation every day, a weekly motivation every week. You want to get those, make sure you text me so you're in my text group. Again, 305-384-6894 is the number. Now, this right here is the boldest U.S. peace push in years, which makes sense behind Trump because Trump's whole identity has been around, I'm a person who likes to broker deals and negotiate and make deals. He talked about this in his book, The Art of the Deal, which came out in 30, 40 years ago. His framework did what past presidents failed to do. He secured an agreement from Hamas, even if it's provisional, to get hostages released and Israel pullback. Again, something no other president has been able to do this for the last whatever number of years. No president has done it. And previous ceasefires had failed because they lacked enforceable mechanisms or mutual assent. And Trump's been able to get all these things done because he does make some threats. If people can't get things done, he's going to do this or that. If this side doesn't do this, he's going to do that. He's been doing the same thing when it comes to the other conflict going on in Europe. And people believe him. All right, that's the whole thing when you're negotiating. People have to, first of all, believe that you're willing to walk away. And secondly, that if you make a threat during a negotiation, that they believe you'll follow through on the threat, which will get them to listen, get them to cooperate, and get them to take some steps. So he got all of these different entities, different countries, and different leaders who have their own agendas. He got them all on the same page and got them all to agree to this. And again, you got to give Trump credit for this, even if you're not that big of a fan of Donald Trump. Now, some of his detractors will say, well, the devil's in the details. Now, this deal's implementation hinges on Israel actually has to vote and say yes to this deal, and they might say no to the deal. You also need Hamas to comply with what they agreed to, which they might not do. And there need to be mechanisms for enforcement, disarmament, and governments in Gaza. So all of these other things have to happen. You have to enforce this agreement. Who's going to enforce it? That's probably going to fall onto the United States. If one side or the other side doesn't one side or the other side, let's say, violates whatever's being agreed here, they don't honor it, then the United States probably going to have to step in and enforce it. Disarmament, which means certain weapons got to be taken away and the troops got to be pulled back the way they're supposed to be pulled back, and they can't go encroaching forward again after they just agreed to this. So this, again, has to be enforced. And there needs to be governance in Gaza, which means you got to get the people who are running it, who might not be good people, you got to get them out of the way so that you have actual governance in Gaza who can hold down any organizations that may be trying to do any type of uprising amongst their people. Now, those hardest parts, all of those are hard parts that remain unsolved. Those are not resolved as of yet. All we got is basically a framework for an agreement. And still, even then, even with that only being a framework for an agreement, people still have to give Trump credit simply because he was able to even get it this far, whereas the previous administration, Biden, wasn't able to do this. Before Trump the first time, Obama was not able to do this. Bush didn't do it. Clinton didn't do it. So Trump even getting it to this point that we're at the goal line is something that you got to give him credit for. Again, even if you're not a big fan of Donald Trump, he was able to get it this far. Now, the next pieces are more smaller details. Just getting a framework of an agreement that both sides seemingly are happy with is an accomplishment by Donald Trump. Now, many past agreements have collapsed when these gaps were not filled, or alleged agreements they didn't pass when these gaps weren't filled. We'll see what Trump's able to do with this one. I think this is a big thing for him in terms of foreign policy. If he's able to get this done, this goes on his track record, and this would be a good reason to give him the Nobel Peace Prize, right? Shouldn't he get a Nobel Peace Prize if he got this done? How many of y'all think yes? How many of you think no? Give me a yes or no in the comments. Do you think getting this deal done, if Trump's able to achieve this, this is Nobel Peace Prize worthy? Yes or no? And they get a Nobel Peace Prize. Nobel Peace Prize is a subjective award given out based on any of you know anything about the award world. So I'm getting some no's, but a whole lot of yeses. I'm getting looks like about 90-10 yes to no here. It's a subjective award. It's given out by, of course, you got the people who make the decisions about who gets the awards. It's all about who likes who. That's all this is. It's like the MVP award in sports. If the reporters like you, the media likes you, you get the award. The media doesn't like you, or at least they don't like you at that time, then you don't get the award. There's been plenty of times there have been athletes who probably should have got MVP, didn't get the MVP simply because the story around them wasn't as compelling or maybe was negative, so he didn't get the MVP that year. Not because they weren't actually the best player. Nobel Prize is the exact same thing. It's about who likes who. So Barack Obama got a Nobel Prize. There plenty of people got Nobel Prizes and didn't do shit. And then people who did stuff didn't get a Nobel Prize simply because they're not liked as much. So is Donald Trump liked enough to get a Nobel Prize? Generally, probably no. But is it possible he could get it? Maybe. But I hope he doesn't. Hope he's not holding his breath waiting to get it, even though he might still get it. Now, humanitarian relief and prisoner exchange could bring real and immediate comfort. They're able to exchange the prisoners. I think that's a big step. A big first step here for this tentative agreement by Trump is can he get prisoner exchange, and can there be some humanitarian relief here? It's because that would create immediate comfort, and it would be a big step for everybody to pay attention to and say, damn, he at least got that done. All right, he at least got the prisoner exchange and got some of those hostages released and returned home, some relief from the ongoing bombing, and access for aid in previously blocked zones where people are not even getting aid. So there are areas right now where you can't even get medical aid sent in if people need it because they're being blocked by military forces. If he can start to get those things to happen, then that means he got both sides somewhat agreeing with each other and somewhat cooperating with each other, which is something that is worthy of giving the guy some credit. Again, even if you're not a Trump fan and you don't like the way he talks and you don't like his mean posts on social media or whatever it is you don't like about him, you can still objectively give the man credit for at least getting us this far, at least for what we've seen agreed to so far. So for families and civilians, this is a tangible victory. Please keep liking the live over there on TikTok. Thank you, everybody who's been liking the live and telling everybody you like the live. So this is a tangible win moving forward to at least get a framework of an agreement. Because to get a framework of an agreement, you still got to get both sides to say what they want. And then you're able to put it together in ways that both sides say, okay, tentatively, that sounds like a good plan. Now, skeptics argue that Trump has overpromised. They say, well, no, he said more than what's actually true. That he said all hostages are going to be released. And what some people are saying, well, that doesn't include the people who got taken hostage and they're not alive anymore. Okay, sure, Jan. All right, he's not including the dead people as hostages who may be released. Okay, so the deceased ones may not be part of the list of hostages being released because they're not alive anymore. And it also doesn't count for the people who are unaccounted for. Okay, sure, Jan. We can't also include the people who we don't even know where they are, or if they were ever taken hostage, if they died, we don't know. Those people are not part of the all hostages list that Donald Trump is referring to. And this is how far people go with their Trump derangement syndrome, is that they are pulling at straws and they're just fishing for anything to say to not give the guy credit when he's objectively done something that is a great deal. Now, disarmament and returning full control to Palestinians are not guaranteed. We know it's not guaranteed because Israel still has the vote on it, first of all. And even if Israel agrees in their vote, if something else happens, somebody does something, somebody fires a shot at some point, somebody pisses somebody off, they may be right back to fighting again in 3 weeks or 3 years or 6 months. Yes, all those things could happen. That does not undo the reality that Trump is able to get them to come to some type of an agreement right now, if that's actually what happens. So the statements that Trump made are broad, which usually are, and they have to be because there's no detailed outline. There's no detailed paperwork written up just yet. Secondly, this is happening over there. This is not happening in the United States of America. And third, you got to give people the high level points to get their attention, to get them to understand what's happening. You give people too much detail, they're not going to follow it. So you got to give people a higher level enough overview of what you did that they can understand what you're talking about, such that you're not going over their heads, meaning they can't understand what you're saying, or you're giving them too much detail, which people are not going to sit down and digest all the detail if you give them too much detail. So you got to keep it simple enough that somebody else can follow what exactly is being said. So this is what skeptics are saying. And this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is just a reflection of more TDS. Now, this move repositions Trump as a global diplomat. I don't think it repositions him. I think he already was. I think Trump is already a global diplomat. He got Putin to come to Alaska and have a meeting. And he got Zelensky to come to D.C. a couple times to have meetings over their conflict. And he got all those other, what do we call them, leaders coming from Europe with Zelensky at his last meeting. You remember that last meeting he had Zelensky when he came to the White House? He came to the White House and he had like 8 other people with him. So he had Macron from France. Who else was at that meeting? They had a chick from Germany was there. They had somebody from, I think she was from New Zealand. She was there. Some head of the EU was there. I think a guy from Sweden was there. And there was a couple other people. But they all came as a kind of a convoy. They came with Zelensky right after the meeting with Putin, and they're all supporting Zelensky for let's try to get something settled here. Notice that they're all coming to Trump to try to solve the problem. So I think he already is a global diplomat. Now, whether he has some signature outcomes that he can hang his hat on from this administration, not quite yet, but he's working on a couple. One of them is that one between Russia and Ukraine. Another one is this one happening in the Middle East. So what if he's able to achieve both of these? Because he's making progress on both right now. And this is only we're in October. So what are we, 10 months in, 10 months into his his second administration. He got 4 years. So I think he can get both of these signature deals done. I think he's getting both of these done before his administration is over. What do y'all think? Y'all think a yes or a no? Is he going to get both of these deals done before 2000? The election is in 28, so he'll be out in 29. So between now and early 2029, do you think Trump gets both of these done? I.e., he achieves peace between Russia and Ukraine, and he achieves peace between Israel and Palestine. Do you think he does both? So I'm asking a parlay. Give me a yes or no on a parlay getting both done. I think he gets both of them achieved within 4 years. I think he might get both of these achieved by the 1 year mark, which is January of 26. So that gives us 2 more weeks in October, then through November, through December, then through January. So what's that, about 90 days? I say the next 90 days. I think next 90 days he gets the Israel thing done. I don't know where things are with Zelensky and company. I don't know where they are right now, but I think this gets him on the path to at least getting one of these done in the first year of his administration. I think by the end of his second year, I think he gets both of them done. So successful diplomacy. Actually, let me back up. By stepping into this mediator role, he is claiming center stage in Middle East peace efforts, and he counters narratives that his influence is waning. So some are people trying to say, well, he's not that influential because he couldn't get this done and that done. I don't think that was ever true. I think that's just his detractors talking negatively, which is what they're supposed to do. Successful diplomacy boosts his power more than anything that he could say on social media or even the stuff that he's doing domestically. There's still going to be battles domestically, and we got plenty to talk about domestically with regards to President Trump. But if he's able to get these things done internationally, then again, it elevates him in a way that no other president can say, because presidents do a pretty good job. Their PR teams do a good job of taking whatever good things happen during their administration and pinning it on themselves. Well, our administration did this, this, and this. This many jobs got created, et cetera, et cetera. The president takes credit for that as if they're the one who did it. Like Bill Clinton took credit for creating whatever number of new jobs during his 8 years in office. It wasn't really because of Bill Clinton. The jobs that got created during the years of Bill Clinton is because the economy was super strong. When the economy is super strong, people spend money, jobs get created, businesses get started. It doesn't even matter who the president is. I could have been president and new jobs would have got started. It doesn't matter who the president is if the economy is going great. Now, do the decisions of the president somewhat contribute to that or hurt it? Yes, but are they the main reason? Generally, no, they're not. So if things are going bad, like during the late part of Trump's first administration and jobs got lost, then they'll pin it on that person. But then a new person comes in and new jobs come back because the virus was over, or the part that everybody was afraid of, the virus was over, the scam was over. So then they got back to people going back to work. They called those new jobs. Those were actually, a lot of those weren't new jobs. It was just jobs that came back that had been disappeared for a minute, and Biden takes credit for that. So this is what presidents do. And I'm saying all that to say that domestically, you can play around with the stats. You can make anything look like anything. So if you're the current president or a former president, you could say anything positive that happened during your term. You can somehow, some way connect that to you and put it on your resume. And if you're even the vice president does it. Kamala Harris takes credit for stuff that happened during the Biden administration. And if you are a president and you're trying to make your opponent look bad, the previous president, then you could take anything negative that happened during their administration and try to pin it on them. Okay. And this is what Trump does to Biden, and Biden and company try to do it to Trump right now. And Trump's opponents, who he has many, they try to do it to him with anything happening in this current administration. So this is all part of the game of politics domestically. But when it comes to foreign policy, Trump being able to get these things done, if he gets this Middle East thing done and he gets the Russia thing done, then that's a big deal. That's a really big deal if he's able to get those done, because you can't juke the stats when it comes to that. Joe Biden, he doesn't really mention anything that he did foreign wise during his administration, because it wasn't anything. Does Barack Obama mention anything? Not really. Does George W. Bush mention anything? He should actually not say, he shouldn't even mention a word foreign, anything outside of the United States. George W. Bush. Notice they don't do that. Why? Because you can't quite make up stuff, or not even make up, but you can't play around with the stats like you can in America. The government has access to all the stats. You can't play around when it comes to foreign policy stuff. Now, critics say that this might be political theater. They say the announcement is timed to aid Trump's political brand, that he uses the announcement maybe to put a little bit of pressure on both sides to agree. I say, yes, that is what he's doing, but that's part of negotiation. Part of negotiation when you're a public figure, especially on such a big stage as government, is that you announce things to put pressure on your opponent to try to get them across the finish line, because otherwise they might not cross the damn finish line. So I understand that. I don't have a problem with that, and they all do it. So they suggest this announcement is time to aid his brand, is that the deal is more about optics than deep peace. Well, the deal is about everything. The deal is not just about peace. It's not just about optics. It's about both, and it's about a whole bunch of other things in between. Do the optics matter? Of course the optics matter. The optics matter, or Trump can say, we have peace in this area, because the people there will celebrate. The people in both areas can celebrate, at least definitely in Palestine, they can celebrate because they're the ones who are getting decimated. They can celebrate that this got done. Other leaders in other countries can say, okay, if we ever have a conflict, maybe we can call on this guy and he can help us solve our problem. Does that matter? Of course it matters. So is that part of the optics? Yes, it's part of the optics. And being that there's a entire free press in the United States of America whose full-time job is looking at what the president is doing and reporting on it, do the optics matter? Of course they matter. I've told you all a million times here that in politics, the main thing is the optics. The main thing that matters is optics. The main thing is not the facts. The main thing is not the truth. The main thing is, how does it look? This is pretty much true in any area of life, especially where there's a lot of people paying attention. If you're an influencer online, if you work in a corporation, you're a CEO of a big publicly traded company, if you're a politician, the main thing that matters is not the truth or the actual facts. The main thing that matters are the optics. Why? Because the optics are what most people see, is the thing that most people remember, and is the thing that most people understand. The truth and the facts are what most people ignore and are too lazy to dive into. So if you want to control the quote unquote narrative around what you're doing, what you need to do is pay attention to the optics, and do not make the dumb mistake of pretending that the optics don't matter. Optics matter a ton. Donald Trump understands this very well. Every president understands it. Every person who even tries to run for president understands that this matters. If you remember back to 2015 and 16, when Donald Trump was running for the Republican nomination, and it was like 20 people on the dais all trying to run for the nomination, Donald Trump's ability to, some didn't like this and still don't like him for it to this day, his ability to give negative nicknames to his opponents. He called Jeb Bush low energy Jeb, and he called Ted Cruz Lion Ted, and what was the other ones that he made up? Of course, you had Crooked Hillary, you had Sleepy Joe, and he came up with all these nicknames for his opponents, and he was just trying to, it was another one that he came up with. I can't remember what they were, but there's a bunch of them where he was bashing his opponents with little nicknames. The nicknames didn't really mean anything, but what it was optics. It made those people look smaller than they actually were. And when he made them look small, the audience picked up on that vision of them being small, and it pretty much torpedoed their campaigns. He torpedoed Ted Cruz. He torpedoed Jeb Bush. He hurt Hillary Clinton. He didn't torpedo her. Pocahontas, Little Marco. Yes, I knew it was something he said about Marco Rubio. I couldn't remember what it was. Little Marco. All of those are optical tactics. Why? Because what it does, when you put a nickname like that on somebody and they start fighting back against it, now you've controlled the frame. That's the part you got to understand. Trump is a master at controlling the frame. And if you look at the last 10 years, you even look at where we are here today, notice that all of Donald Trump's political opponents, the people who make a show of quote unquote standing up to Donald Trump, well, whose frame are they playing by? Their frame or Donald Trump's frame? Whose frame is that? This is a question for the class. When someone says, I'm standing up to Donald Trump, whose frame are they playing by? Are they playing by their own frame or are they playing by Donald Trump's frame? All right, they're playing by Donald Trump's frame. Just the fact that you are announcing that you're standing up to Donald Trump means your whole frame is about Donald Trump. And you are running for mayor, Zoran Mamdani. You are the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. All right, how are you standing up to Donald Trump? You're not even in competition with Donald Trump. But your whole frame is about him. Kamala Harris walking around. Now she's doing a tour. Well, she is on a tour, not a guest. She is on a tour promoting her book, which seems to be selling a lot of copies, by the way. She's selling a lot of bulk copies, of course, but it's selling. The people are buying the book. Whether they're reading it or not is a whole different story. But people are buying Kamala's book. And her whole tour is talking about what? Donald Trump. She ain't got nothing else to talk about. Her election was about her going against Donald Trump. Now that she lost, now she's on tour talking about how she lost to Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, after she lost. What'd she do? She went on tour and talked about how she got beat by Donald Trump. That's her whole frame. Her entire frame is about him. Kamala's entire frame is about him. A bunch of active Democrat politicians, their entire frame is about him. Even AOC, her frame is about either him or other people in Trump's administration. Everything's about him. He controls the entire frame. And when your frame is all about the opponent, then the opponent's controlling the conversation. I'm saying all that to say when he gave those nicknames to his opponents and his opponents started pushing back on him after the nickname, it looked like, this is the optics of it, it looked like they were playing his game. And when everybody on the dais seems to be focused on you, you are running the show. And Donald Trump did that when he won the Republican nomination, and he hasn't had a serious competitor in 10 years because he controls the frame so well. This is not luck. He does this on purpose. And look at his political opponents. They all do the same thing. Even Joe Biden, who ended up winning, quote unquote, the 2020 election. Even Joe Biden, his campaign was all about, well, hey, I'm not Donald Trump. And he was aided by that virus. Had that virus not been happening, Joe Biden would not have won in 2020. It wouldn't have even been close in 2020. The virus gave him a chance. The virus gave him a chance on multiple fronts. Number one, the virus made the current president look bad because nobody knew what to do about it. And number two, the virus allowed differences in the way that the votes were tallied. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to say too much, at least not today. Now, election season amplifies an incentive to overstate breakthroughs, but there is no election season. So even if opponents want to use that against Trump, is 2025. There's no election season right now. I mean, you got local elections, but big elections, congressional elections, presidential elections not happening right now. So that's not even a point. Now, Gaza's public sentiment does matter. All right. Chants of Trump's name by people in Gaza. Did y'all see these videos of people in Gaza chanting Donald Trump's name? Let me see if I can find one of them because I was just looking at this morning. So who's this? No, not that. Not that. Here it is. So those are people, can't quite tell what everybody's saying, but here's another one. So these are all people that are chanting Trump's name. I mean, they're speaking other languages, but chanting Trump's name and celebrating him for what he has at least created the framework of up to this point. So it shows that many Gazans see him as a figure who has pushed for this deal, not just a player from the U.S. who was just coming in to get something for themselves, but actually trying to help out those people. Because had the U.S. not got involved in this, well, what do y'all think would have happened to Gaza? What do y'all think? What do y'all think would have happened to Gaza had the U.S. not gotten involved and said, hey, let's calm this down? I think everybody can agree, regardless of how you feel about why the conflict started or who's doing what. Had the United States not somehow, some way gotten involved to support Gaza, they would have turned that place into a parking lot. That place would already be a parking lot if the United States wasn't involved. If y'all know what I mean when I say parking lot, it's a figure of speech. You know what a parking lot is, right? It's a flat slab of concrete with nothing but empty space. All right, the only thing that fills up a parking lot is cars. All right, they would have turned that place into a parking lot easy. So that's why the people in Gaza need to, and I believe they already do, is obviously they would support Donald Trump getting involved because they would have been wiped out. That's just the reality of the situation. So this local legitimacy can make or break peace. I think Donald Trump in this agreement will at least get Gaza to calm down and behave and play their part. Because we remember back on 10/7 2 years ago, this round of the battle, like this didn't just start in 2023. This round of fighting began with what happened on 10/7, and 10/7 was done by Hamas. So had they not done that, then we wouldn't be here in this round. There would still be conflict, but it wouldn't be like this. So that conflict flared up when Hamas did what it did. Donald Trump jumping in now and maybe getting them some relief for a fight that a battle that they started. They didn't start the war, they started the battle, and they're getting beat up in this battle after throwing the first punch. I think they would get the message now, like, okay, let's not do that again. Let's not do that again, because we saw what happened with that. They were getting beat badly. Now, some Palestinians say that the deal does not address the root causes, such as occupation of Gaza, border control, the right of return, and long-term governance. They say that these things are not being addressed. I say, while that may be true, this is one of the trade-offs. This is one of the trade-offs that you got to accept when you're in negotiation. Negotiation, you have to take some trade-offs. You can't get everything that you want. There is no such thing as a free lunch. You got to give something in order to get something. And not for nothing, Gaza's in a losing position. They're in the disadvantaged position right now in this conflict. So they're not really in position to dictate how this is going to go. That's just the reality of the situation. So they have to accept that trade-off. Now, mediators and regional buy-in is critical because countries like Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, they have credibility in the region. So they help bring all the sides to the table. So they're all part of this, and the U.S. is a part of that as well. So U.S. leverage, again, often depends on these regional partners getting involved. The U.S. can't just come in and say, hey, you go over there and you do this and you do that. They don't. U.S. doesn't have that type of control, even though many Americans sitting watching it from home here in the USA, many of us may think the U.S. has that kind of power. That's what we hear about on TV is when the U.S. gets involved. But there's a whole lot of conversation that happens between the countries that are actually over there and they're much closer. They do a whole lot of the groundwork to make these conversations happen and move them along. USA comes in to kind of put the stamp on it, maybe sometimes near the end. They're sometimes more heavily involved, but often US comes in closer to the end to put a stamp on the whole conversation. And that's when everybody accepts it because the U.S. still does have the most power. Now, opposition and backlash is possible because there are some people in Israel who may be hardliners that are like, no, we don't want this deal. Depends on what they vote. And people in Hamas may be hardliners and say no as well. And there may be other international actors who don't like the idea of disarmament or any perceived concessions, but that doesn't make any sense. In negotiation, you have to make concessions. So I think Trump will knock that. That objection down pretty easily. So any pullback or violation could reignite this entire conflict. It could reignite the conflict, but I don't think Gaza would be that dumb to do this again after they saw what's happened the last 2 years. After, again, they threw the first punch in this round of the battle. So volatility does remain high, but I think this is at least the first step and the best you could do for the moment. Now, the future phases matter most because phase 2 will likely demand disarmament of Hamas, taking them apart. And they're right now governing Gaza. So who's going to replace them? Disarming them and then being okay with being disarmed. Making sure that security is maintained. Who's going to control the security? And how reconstruction proceeds. Because you got to rebuild a whole lot of areas that have been decimated and destroyed over the last 2 years. So who's going to do all of that? The USA is going to continue to be involved. Your tax dollars will continue to pay for this, by the way. This is part of our foreign involvement. We're going to pay for this. And this is just phase 1. Phase 1 is just a handshake. And then phase 2 is actually ending all of this and there being actual peace and actual no battles, no shots fired, nobody losing their lives in that area. Is it possible? Yes, I do strongly believe that it's possible. I think, actually, I'll just say I think some of the leaders who are currently in place on all sides may need to be replaced before complete peace is possible. And not just the leaders whose names we know. Leaders who have votes, leaders who have say, leaders who make their voices heard. Like, for example, in the United States, everybody knows about Donald Trump outside of the USA, but they don't know about most of the members of Congress the same way many of us don't know about most members of Congress. But members of Congress have votes. They get to say things. There are people in Congress who have a lot of sway and they have a lot of pull with other members of Congress, but they're not always on the microphones. They're not posting on social media. They don't go on CNN every other day. They're not on Fox every other day, but they have a whole lot of influence. Those are the quiet hands who are actually moving things that we don't even know about those people, not the people you see on TV all the time. And in other governments, they have the same thing. So in Gaza, there are people who have that kind of power. In Israel, there are people who have that kind of power, and we don't know them. So it's not just the people we know. It's not just Bibi and others whose names we can point out. So phase one is just a handshake. Again, phase two is the end, and the end is going to require congressional approval, cabinet approval, whatever way they have their things set up. So Israel right now, their security cabinet, they get to vote on this. In America, that would be like Congress voting on it. And again, who inside of those entities wants this to end and is okay with what is on the table and who is not okay with it, that really determines this. And we don't know who these people are. And that's the reason why I'm saying if the war is going to end, it's going to require probably a whole lot of change in terms of who is involved and how their views are on the conflict in general. Do we want conflict? Do we not want conflict before this comes to a complete end? I think this may take some years, and it may be after Donald Trump, by the way. Now, if hostages are not released swiftly, or if Israel reneges on withdrawal or returns to doing anything like bombing, then the agreement will lose all legitimacy fast. I hope, because Israel would have the right, not the right, but they have the power to do it. Let's put it that way. They have the power and the independence to do it. I would hope that they don't do this because it will be based on them having respect for the United States. That's what this comes down to. They got to have respect for the fact that they are partners with the United States. The United States provides a lot of aid to Israel, and there's a positive relationship between our country and their country. If they respect that and Trump says, hey, it's over, fall back, no more of this, then I would hope that they respect that and Israel doesn't do anything else that they do have the resources to do, as long as Gaza doesn't do anything that they have the ability to do. That's what this is going to come down to. This all comes down to just the respect amongst the leaders, which is why you all really need to think about what if Kamala Harris was president right now? What would be happening in this area? You think we'd be having this conversation here today? Give me a yes or no in the comments. If Kamala was president, would we be having this conversation? Maybe not even because she was trying to negotiate, but do you think she would ever bring an end to this conflict if she was president? I think if she was president, regardless of what she says and what she said on the campaign trail, I think probably parking lot. Gaza probably turned into a parking lot because what's she going to do to stop anybody from attacking them? What's she going to do to stop the attacks? Do the leaders of those countries really have respect for her as the person? And this does matter. Even though the United States has the military power, regardless of who the president is, if Kamala is president or Trump is president or anybody else is president, the United States' military power is still the United States military power. Our tanks and our guns are still our tanks and our guns. The problem is, not even the problem, let me not put it that way. The thing that people need to understand is that the person who is wielding the power matters a lot. Because the person who's wielding the power, it's a matter of, do the people you're negotiating with respect what you say you might do if you don't follow through on what they're telling you to do? Do they actually respect your warnings? And Donald Trump's a guy who's a negotiator, but I don't think anybody takes the guy for soft. And that if he says, we're going to do this, if you do that, we're going to do this, I think people believe him. I don't know if people will believe Kamala Harris. And again, just imagine her in these negotiations and these type of situations. Imagine her with Zelensky and those 8 leaders from Europe all coming to meet with her in the White House. And imagine if Putin would have come to Alaska to meet with her. Again, just think about these things. So these elections do matter. If any of you who cares about this stuff, this international, what's happening in other countries and the U.S.'s foreign policy and how we get involved in these conflicts, if you care about these kind of things, who our leaders are does matter, because the people in those other countries, do not respect our leaders, then they're not even going to come to have a meeting, let alone are they going to agree with anything, let alone are they going to sit down and have a handshake. You tell me that Zelensky and Putin would sit down and have a handshake agreement, and Trump didn't do this yet, but he's working on it. Would they sit down and have a handshake agreement with Kamala Harris moderating? Y'all tell me if y'all think that would happen. Give me a yes or a no. It doesn't matter how you feel about that conflict. Give me a yes or a no. You think he could get both of them to sit down? First of all, could he get both of them to come to America and meet individually, let alone get them both together and agree on something? I would say hell no. That ain't happening. I would say that's not happening. Someone said they don't respect Trump. I think they do. And even if they don't respect him, they might fear him. Niccolo Machiavelli says, better to be feared than to be liked. I think they fear what he would do if they don't listen to what he says. I do believe that. Because, again, the U.S. has the military power that it has, regardless of who the president is. But it's your willingness to use it is what matters. And Trump has the willingness to use it. And I think he would use it. He would press the button. And I don't think there's any country in the world that wants the United States to press the button. So do you believe Kamala Harris will press the button? I'm not so sure she will press the button. I'm not sure she would even give the warning in the first place. But I do believe Donald Trump will press the button. All right. And that's the difference. So I'm just reading a text message on some imminent business that I'm dealing with. Okay. On it out the way, folks. Let's get into the comments. I got done through my material by a few minutes to spare here. So let's get into the comments here. What negative could y'all come up with about Donald Trump about this one today? I'm just trying to figure. I think this one should be pretty cut and dry, but I might be wrong. I've been wrong before, so let's see. Most of the time I'm not wrong, but let's see if I'm right or wrong about this. That I don't think there's much negative you could say about Donald Trump in this context. But let's just see. Let's just see if I'm right or wrong about this. I am reading from oldest to newest when it comes to the comments. What do you got? Jay Rocker said, right now, costs are up, inflation up, unemployment up, cost of money down. What does that have to do with what we're talking about here today? Non sequitur. I'm not even going to give you a soundboard for that, but I'm just pointing out that it's not even the topic. Millie said, President Trump can cure cancer and the Democrats will never give him credit for it. No, pretty much true. Freedom Rider said, too many people don't understand how the numbers game work. They need to do research. Well, Freedom Rider, I agree with your first sentence. The second one, while your second sentence may be right, Freedom Rider, most people are not going to do any research. So the key here is you got to make things simple enough that they can understand it without giving them work to do. Doing research is work. And also research requires thinking. So you're asking a lot. Z Gender said, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Dim Rep of Congo, Rwanda, India, Pakistan, Cambodia, Thailand, Israel, Iran. Yeah, so you're saying Trump is involved in all those? Name a few peace deals. Okay, fair enough. Barbie says he's a great negotiator, always has been. Trump is a great negotiator. I mean, the guy was $6 billion in debt. He was able to get out of it without having to come up with $6 billion. That's great negotiation right there off the top. Even if you don't like Trump, you got to give him credit for that. Yeah, Pocahontas. Yeah. I was talking about his people he was actually running against, but Pocahontas is a good one too. Now, Pocahontas was which one? Pocahontas was Elizabeth Warren, right? And then Crazy Nancy was Nancy Pelosi. He called her Crazy Nancy during his first administration. Jim Topia said he was defending them in real time to make them look small. Make sure you get your words right. And then Jim says defaming. He was defaming them. That's not defaming them. Do you know what defaming means? The defamation in legal terms means you know the truth, but you tell a lie on purpose. That's what defamation means. That's not defaming them. What he's doing is making fun of them. And that's all part of political theater. And he did make them look small. He wasn't trying to make them look small. He did make them look small. And what do you mean? Make sure you get your words. I don't know what you're talking about there. Jim Topia, stop it. This is not a game that you want to play against me. You can't win. Carla, Indiana. Yes, Crooked Hillary. That's correct. Leroy said, Pam Bondi, not bad either. What do you mean? What are you talking about? About Pam Bondi. Lil J said he was insulting and defaming people. It seems that's what some people like. Well, he was insulting them, and that's part of his game, obviously. But defaming, how is he defaming them? Again, what do you mean by defaming? Let's look at this word defaming. Both two people have used this word already. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. To defame, to harm the reputation by communicating false statements about. So to call someone crooked Hillary, is that a false statement? No, that's in a legal sense. That's just part of this is sales talk. The same way that in the sales world, for example, they have this legal term called puffery. Puffery is like if I'm selling you a used Honda Civic and I say this is the best car that money can buy, it'll run like a dream forever. And then the car dies 10,000 miles later. Can you take me to court and say I lied to you based on false advertising? No. What I said to you that the car is the best thing that money can buy, that's part of sales talk and it's allowed under the law. That's called puffery. So what Donald Trump is doing is kind of like the opposite of puffery. It's the inverse of puffery. Instead of talking something up, he's talking something down, but it's all part of the colloquial conversation that everybody understands that it's a metaphor. When he says crooked Hillary, is not like he's saying she's actually like crooked. What he's saying is he's giving the idea that she doesn't tell the truth and you shouldn't trust her. All right, that's legally allowed, which is why you see nobody took him to court. So if he was defaming all these people who are pretty well known and they are trying to get high up positions and they all have access to lawyers, why didn't anybody take him to court for defamation? So those of you who are saying that he was defaming anybody, he didn't defame anybody. Yes, he was insulting them, but he's not defaming them. All right, so again, a false statement. No. Lying Ted. He said Ted was lying. Ted Cruz is a politician. So Ted Cruz is a liar. They're all liars. Every politician is a liar. So he just gave Ted Cruz the name, but they're all liars. So is Ted Cruz always telling the truth? All right, no. Now is Marco Rubio, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, George W. Bush? No, none of them's always telling the truth. So if you call somebody lying, how are you defaming them? That's not defaming. You are lying. He called him Little Marco. Again, it's an image. He's creating imagery in your mind. But those of you using the word defaming, this is sounding a little bit. We got to pull our board out. This is sounding a little bit emotional. Damn it! Y'all sound a little bit appeal to emotions here. Reverend Bravo said Trump is winning. He is winning. MJ said, "When are you going to run?" I ran this morning. I ran a couple miles this morning outside in Miami. The weather's getting a little bit cooler. So a little bit cooler in the morning. I can feel the difference between October and July. You can definitely feel it. The humidity is a little bit less. Air gets a little bit thinner than the normal Miami humidity in the summer, and it's easier to run. So I ran this morning to answer your question. Traditional said they are storing those books. What books you talking about? Barbie said Kamala used Chat GPT. If Kamala used Chat GPT, she would have sounded better than she does sound. So actually, I disagree with you. I don't think she was using Chat GPT.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
ZJ Zender said he lives in Lib's brains rent-free. Is hilarious. Well, he lives in even the Republicans' brains rent-free. So yes, he does. He lives mortgage-free because he actually is parked there. He's not a temporary resident. And when you rent is temporary. At some point, you're going to stop renting. Your lease may be up. But he lives mortgage-free because that's a house. He owns it. I think he owns the minds of several politicians, and that's going to, when you talk about that politician, usually what you're going to think about is what they did with regards to Donald Trump. You bring up somebody like Nancy Pelosi, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about Donald Trump. You bring up Hillary Clinton, you're going to talk about Trump. Even if you bring up Biden, you're going to talk about Trump. You bring up Kamala, you talk Trump. So most of these politicians, their entire political story is going to be based around Donald Trump. They wrote a book, half the book's going to be about Donald Trump. Well, they wouldn't do it that way, but if a book was written about them, that would be it. J8 says, please invert videos or live streams. What do you mean? You mean mirroring the camera? No, I like the camera this way. That's why I don't turn it around. Katie said, what are they going to do after he's done with his term? Well, that's an interesting question, Katie. The answer is we don't know. And that's the issue that the Democrats very much have. The Republicans could at least just continue his line of reasoning. Even if they're not a big fan, they can use the momentum because the fans are still going to be the fans, many of them. But the Democrats have a problem because they have no identity right now. Their whole identity is just talking about Donald Trump. Leah, good to see you. Or Lee, good to see you here. Leroy said TDS is widespread in the Democrat Party. That's true. MJ said, I just started listening to you and I already know you need to be our leader. Who's our? Who's you talking about? Who's the group? Depending on who the group is, I might accept that leadership position. Now, if you're talking about politics, then that's probably not going to happen. JC Corn said, Kamala used Chat GPT and she still lost and spent $2 billion. I don't know. Why y'all saying Kamala use Chat GPT? She didn't sound like Chat GPT to me. I use Chat GPT not for my talking points, but what I'm saying is I use the software, and Chat GPT is pretty good at putting words together. Kamala is bad at putting words together. So if she was using Chat GPT, she needs to get her money back because she wasn't listening to what Chat GPT was telling her. Whatever they were telling her to say, she wasn't saying it. So I don't know what y'all mean. Chat GPT is actually pretty good. It's pretty articulate. Kamala is not articulate. So I don't know where y'all getting this idea that she was using Chat GPT. Please show me the receipts. M Hatley 43 said your insight is brilliant. Well, thank you. JC Corn said, well, I see what you're saying about the 2020 election. I don't want to touch on that. I'm trying to not get suspended on TikTok again. J-Rock, but I get what you're saying, JC Corn. I understand. And that we will never know. That's what I'll say about 2020. We will never know. J-Rocker said, so popularity contest. Yes, J-Rocker, where have you been? Is this news to you? Politics is a popularity contest? Running for class treasurer in the second grade is a popularity contest. Anything that's an election is based on personal, people getting to choose a personal vote is always a popularity contest. The MVP award is a popularity contest in sports. Politics is a popularity contest. Winning awards like the Emmys or the Grammys or the Oscars, those are popularity contests. Everything is a popularity contest. That's not new. Leroy 100, thanks for the follow. Kurt, thanks for the share. Fan club, congrats on completing the first stage of the club quest. I4 lessons, thanks for the follow. Barbie said, I haven't gotten a chance, was in a meeting. What are you referring to? Nurse Gebbia, good morning. MJ said, just great. They don't know they're giving him too much credit. Well, yeah. Yeah, you're right. They would have completely took them out. J Rocker said, all you're doing is dressing up the fact that he's done nothing. J Rocker is sounding like TDS here.
Emotional, damn it.
Yanni said, that's exactly what it is. Sam said, we know what a parking lot is. Do you know what the word all means? What are you referring to here, Sam? Barbie said that was the plan all along. Probably. Probably. Stormin 25 said not true. What's not true? Sherlock Homie said, I'm glad Trump continued with Biden's plan. Oh, okay. Interesting. I like the way you threw that in there right there. Stormin said the first punch thrown was a long time ago. Yes, I said in this battle. I put that in proper context. This battle. I know the conflict didn't start on 10/7/2023. Mim Hatley said, starving, dying, no income. Pretty much. Nurse Gibeah said, Donald Trump gave credit to all parties. Yes, he did. I read his comment from the beginning. Sam said, when Trump says he's going to end it before the inauguration, it seems like he has the power to. Well, he's predicting what he's going to do. I mean, what do you want the president to say? Dana Pinkard, thanks for the follow. Quark Blast said, U.S. gives framework, local powers figure out details, U.S. gives support and stamp of approval. Pretty much. That's correct. Sam said, you ignore that because you're obeying your cult leader, LMAO. Okay, so let's see. I think Sam may have gotten an award here. So first of all, we got the...
Is that like a personal attack or something?
The ad hominem. Ignore that. I don't know what you're referring to here when you say you just ignore that. What is that I'm ignoring? And if I'm ignoring it, what was it? Is it something that I brought up? So I can't be ignoring it if I brought it up at the same time.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
And then you put the LMAO as if you're laughing at your own joke.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
So Sam, congratulations. You came in here and you got the Russell Westbrook triple-double, triple fallacy award in one comment.
Oh, baby, it's triple. Oh, yeah.
Congratulations. Lil J said he's been indoctrinated. Who and what? What's the subject? Quail Red said, remember who won the popular vote? A lot of cult followers. Yeah, well, which popular vote? The 2024? Because that would be Trump, right? Pound Cake 426 said, good morning, I'm in class. Shout out to people in class listening to me instead of the teacher. Lil J said it's not a war. It's not? Okay, ask some of the people who are over there if it's a war or not. You may not feel like a war from your comfortable home in the United States. Lil J said collective punishment. Yali said, what about respect for human life and international law? People always throw out this term international law. Who's the cop? And who's going to do anything? Who's actually going to do something if you violate what everybody calls international law? Who's actually enforcing this international law? Now, my answer is not really anybody. It sounds good, but who's actually enforcing it? And then Lil J follows up and said, what about the war crimes? Again, what about them? Who's the cop? Who's the judge? Who's the jury? Where's the courtroom? Who's being brought to court on these quote unquote war crimes? These things don't happen. I mean, again, it sounds good, but it doesn't happen. TX Trump Babe 2.0, good morning. Barbie said, WW3. Yeah, pretty much. Laura Iggy Lover, good morning. Courtney, good morning. D. Shay said, that's a scary thought. Yeah, it is a scary thought. And this is something in the United States, it wouldn't be as scary for us because we're in the United States. But in other countries, if we got to come in and solve a conflict and help a country that's getting destroyed, like what's happening in the Middle East, they should be afraid, because how is she going to solve the problem? Because I don't think the people who are destroying them are going to listen to Kamala Harris. But good thing she didn't win, and she will not make it through a Democratic primary in 2028. Any of you who's wondering, she's not going to come out of that primary. I think she's going to run, though. Sam said if Kamala was president, the war would be over already. Yeah, right, Sam. Cut it out.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Sam, you don't believe that. Sam, did you buy Kamala Harris's book, and have you read it? Karina, good morning. Irma V said not even. Yeah. MJ said, what good is it to speculate? Well, if there was no speculation, MJ, then media as we know it, social media and traditional media, would cease to exist, because there are not enough things actually happening to fill up the airwaves of the time to get spent creating media. M. Hatley said they would not take her seriously. Yeah, that's the same thing I think. Rachel, thanks for the follow. Skylar, good morning. Murphy the Mutt, good morning. Lil J said Trump literally said they're going to turn it into a resort. Trump literally said. If someone say Trump literally says something, then I know that you might be taking it out of context. Barbie said if she was president, we would all be in full blown. Yeah, so you might be right. Mark B said our borders got overrun because of her. Well, she was allegedly the border czar, but then when they said, hey, you're the border czar, she said, I'm not the border czar. So she tried to distance herself from the title of being the border czar. Remember that interview where someone was asking, have you been to the border? And she kept saying, we have been to the border. Then the guy said, have you been to the border? And she said, he said, you have not been to the border. She said, well, I haven't been to Europe. And then she laughed. And it was like this is the person that we elected. Well, she was the vice president, technically. Hiram McGriff said she would not be a parking lot. Yeah, it would. Solutions for all. Thanks for the follow. Sylvia B, thanks for the share. Teresa Valerie said, have you seen what it looks like? It's horrible and devastated. Well, I've seen images. I haven't been there. But I've seen images, and yeah, we know it's horrible and devastated. That's the whole point, which is why they're so happy that Trump might be solving this. Ruthie said Kamala would be laughing. You're right. Millie said our nation would have turned into a third world country. Well, I get what you mean. I think you're referring to the immigration. Immigration would have been crazy had she won. I think the immigration would have gotten very crazy had Kamala won. It was already crazy, but I think it would have gotten more crazy. Lil J says she would have handled Zelensky way better. Better how? What could she have done? Crazy Great says she would just sit and giggle. Yeah, right. Dean Dangerous said, okay, now do Trump's foreign policy. That's what we're talking about right now. We are talking about it. We're talking about it right now. What do you want me to do? Michelle Morgan, good morning. Joe Rakestraw, good morning. Allison, good morning. Lahek 60, good morning. Ruthie, Mama Michael Lynn, good morning. M. Hatley said, is it possible to get a good president? Well, define what a good president is. Single white male said Kamala is a joke. Well, I think she's a joke as a president. That's why she didn't win. The country agrees with you, single white male. That's why she didn't win the election. Becky said, no way. LVE says, so what has Trump done? Nothing. Really? He's done nothing at all? In this 9 months, he's done nothing? I wouldn't go that. It's a little bit too far. Matthew DJS 48. Good morning. Pammy 55 said, getting that water NIC. Well, I'm just sipping water while I'm talking to y'all, but I drink a lot of water. Niece 61 said, Harris or Biden, no foreign countries have no respect for those two. Well, I think a cogent Joe Biden, that he could get some respect. Now, Kamala Harris is a different story. Johnny V said Trump is the best president. Okay, fair enough. Single white male said, thank God Trump is president. Well, compared to Kamala, I would agree with you. Hippie chick said, remember Kamala was appointed, never voted in. She is not even capable of being VO. Never mind. What's VO? Well, I think you're talking about for running for president. The thing that I maintain with Kamala is that she didn't have to go through the gauntlet and win a primary. If you go through the gauntlet, then you are qualified to be president because you had to beat all the competitors. She didn't go through a primary and win. So that's why I never consider her qualified, quote unquote, because she didn't go through the gauntlet. So in 2028, if she is to be the nominee, she has to go through the gauntlet and beat all the competitors. If she does that, then I will give Kamala the respect of saying that at least she won the primary. I don't know if she's going to be the best candidate based on whoever the Republicans bring up, but she has to go through a primary and beat everybody. Right now, it looks like she would have to beat AOC. She would have to beat Gavin Newsom. She would have to beat Pete Buttigieg. I don't think she could beat any of those three on the merits. But because she is so popular, based on having been the VP and having technically been the nominee in 2024, she has a built-in fan base that they're going to have to contend with. Kamala's built-in fan base is going to help her. Now, her actual substance or lack thereof is going to hurt her. But if you have a built-in fan base and no substance, you can still win. Look around at the world. There are plenty of examples of it. And it said, you are so lost, young man. Well, first of all, this is ad hominem.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
I'm not a young man. And secondly, I'm lost. What am I lost from? What am I missing? If you disagree with something that I said, please tell me what I got wrong.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
LVE said, fear him, come on, seriously. He has backed down every single time. From what? Give me an example of something he backed down from. Nicole Marie said, his unhingedness works in his favor. He's not unhinged. I know people say that, but what is your example of him being unhinged? What about him? J Rocker said, so by your logic, here we go. Y'all know what this is about to be. So by your logic, I think J Rock is doing this on purpose. We'll never have a woman of color as president. And then he puts a question mark and then he says, asking, not assuming. Well, you are assuming because you said so by your logic. So that means you're assuming that you understand what my logic is. J Rocker, unfortunately, you're free to share your logic, but please don't try to explain my logic in your words. You're always going to make it like 80% worse than it actually is. So first of all,
Strawberry cheesecake.
the entire frame of your question is a straw man because you're alleging to understand what I'm saying without going what I actually said. You're going off of what you say based on what I said, which is a mistake. That's a straw man. Then you said, we'll never have a woman of color as president. I didn't say anything about women of color. I didn't say anything about women of color ever becoming president. So your question is a complete non sequitur.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I never even mentioned that. I didn't even mention Kamala's heritage at all since I mentioned her name in this live here today. And I'm trying to think there's another fallacy here so we can give you a triple-double award. And then you say asking, not assuming, as if to cover your tracks when you did just throw out a couple fallacies here at the same time. So for that alone, you get another Russell Westbrook triple-double.
Oh, baby, a triple! Oh, yeah!
LVE said Trump is all bluster. Well, bluster won him 2 elections and got him nominated for a 3rd. So if you say he's all bluster, then bluster must be a good thing. TX Trump Babe said Trump doesn't care if they don't like him. That I agree with. This is very true. Where was I in the comments? Where was I? I lost my spot here. I think I can get through most of these comments here today. Let me see if I can get back to where I was. There's a lot of comments. All right, so I can't get back to where I was, but I'll pick up where I can. Michelle said they can see weakness and Kamala will not be strong enough to handle it. Well, yeah, most humans can. Freedom Rider, thanks for the share. Hippie Chick said Kamala is clueless, never capable of being in the White House. Well, technically, she was in the White House. She was the vice president. And she almost, she was there. She was on the precipice had she won that election. And Sam said, you're wrong more than you're right, buddy. I disagree.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
TX Trump Babe said, all they can say is Trump is a cult leader. That's about it. Now they got about 8 go-to pejorative comments about Trump. That's not the only thing they say. There's about 7 others. TX Trump bait. You keep reading the comments, you'll see them. Let's see if we can point a few of them out. Dean Dangerous said, "Host is still pathetically lying that he isn't MAGA." Straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Dean Dangerous. If I was MAGA, what problem would I have saying that I was MAGA? I don't have a boss. I don't answer to anybody. If I'm MAGA, why would I not announce it? I'm not. I have no political affiliation. That's my position. Barbie said, "Kamala word soup." Yeah, soup salad, and a piece of garlic bread on the side. That's Kamala's verbiage. Millie said, "Our country is more respected now than the last 4 years." I hope so. Crazy Grace said, "Everything was well said. Great session." Thank you, Grace. Sam said, "Deflect." What did I deflect from? From what point? Dean Dangerous, look at how MAGA make up a fake issue and said the Dems wouldn't even congratulate him. What issue? Echo said, "I love doing research." Well, you're one of the few. Brielle said, "Have a good day." Thank you. Dean Dangerous said, "Great negotiator, the wall, Canada, Greenland." Well, there was no negotiation on the wall. So I don't know. I think you're talking about the Mexico wall. What negotiation? We just built it. Canada, I don't know what you're referring to. Greenland, again, was there a negotiation? There was nothing to negotiate. That's just Trump talking shit. And so these are not negotiations. Trump just talking shit about, hey, we may make Canada a state. That wasn't a negotiation. That was just him talking shit. Greenland was the exact same thing. Those are not the same as negotiations. So you get a non sequitur for that.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Sam said, "So if he's a great negotiator, he's a bad businessman for going $6 billion in debt, right?" Wrong. Business people go in debt all the time, and filing bankruptcy when you're in debt or negotiating your way out of the debt is part of the game in business. So it doesn't make you a good businessman. It doesn't make you a bad businessman. It's just part of the game of business. Sam, are you an entrepreneur? If you are, you would understand that very well. Chosen for you said, "Give him credit for fleecing America." How did he fleece America? Angie, thanks for the follow. Hippie Chick said, "Oh my God, Nancy needed to be retired." Is she retired now? Where's she at? She's been kind of quiet. I think she's still active though, right? Cedric Wright said, "I'm into listen for a while." All right, great. Mama Lynn said, "Libs love to use big words they don't know the meaning of." Well, a lot of people say that. Dean said, "Host, you didn't chat GPT defaming before the live." Defaming was not part of the topic. I saw a couple people use the word. That's why I went and looked up the definition that was the Merriam-Webster dictionary, not chat GPT. Echo said, "A lot of those people he belittled through the first punch." So yeah, they did. And that's part of politics. It's part of the game. So whether he did it first or they did it first doesn't matter. I mean, it's not kindergarten. It doesn't matter who hit who first. What matters is what gets remembered. Because remember, politics is about optics. It's not about who did it first. Katie said, "It's wild that people are worried about nicknames instead of a peace deal." Well, I mean, you got to remember what we're talking about here. A lot of people have Trump derangement syndrome. So they'll say anything about Trump or anyone who is supporting Trump, or even look, you see people accusing me of supporting Trump. When I say I'm not even a Trump supporter, I'm just giving you objectively what I see. They even try to put Trump supporter on me just so it gives them more justification to attack me, because people have Trump. That's TDS. That's an example of TDS, is that they accuse you of being a Trump supporter just so that they feel justified to attack you. Because if you're not a Trump supporter, they don't feel justified attacking you. So they got to come up with something. G Money said, "Trump received a total of $230 million from donors, all corrupt." Why does that make him corrupt? Just because you got $230 million in donor money does not make you corrupt. Kamala had $1 billion in donor money. So does that make her corrupt? GG Money said, "They're funding genocide with our tax dollars." Okay, that part, a lot of people have said that, but what's that have to do with Trump? That was happening before Trump. 10/7 was in 2023. M. Hatley said, "You are obviously professional with courage and a family man balance." Well, thank you. I didn't mean to play that one. Jay Rocker says, "So you're dressing up the word lying." No, I'm not. And that's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Be careful starting your comments with the word "so," because it usually when people use the word "so," especially in disagreement, it's a tell that you're about to reframe somebody's argument into your version of their argument to make it easier to argue against, which is the exact framework of a straw man fallacy. Chosen for You said our economy is destroyed because of Trump. The economy is not destroyed, Chosen for You. This is incorrect.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Do you trade on the stock market? Because the stock market is way up right now. Everything's up right now. So how are you going to say the economy is destroyed? Dean said the lies aren't lies because they are famous. You put that in quotation marks. I don't know who said that. G Money said Trump. We already read that one. Harold Boyd said appreciate you. Thank you. Tish said you're a cool guy. You put exclamation points, then you put a question mark. So are you asking or telling? But I'm going to assume you're telling. So thank you. Jay said it's feeling nice in South Florida. Yes, it is. It always feels nice in South Florida. Even when it's raining, it feels nice. Sam said he's creating imagery in your mind, a.k.a. he's spreading propaganda. Well, then, Sam, you saying that I said something that's not true or something that's wrong, then that's you creating imagery by leaving a comment. So does that make you also a propagandist? So what's the line between propaganda and somebody just offering their opinion? So your point here is not a good one.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Barbie said Miami is nice today. Miami is nice every day. Dean said host uses ChatGPT. Yes, I have a paid ChatGPT account. Yes, I use ChatGPT. Is that some kind of, what is that? Are you uncovering a crime that I use ChatGPT? Yes, I use ChatGPT, in case anybody didn't know. Not for what I'm talking about to you all, but I do use it. I'm a paid user. What is it, $20 a month? Nee said, no matter what or any good Trump might or may do, people still hate him. I don't understand why. Well, they got Trump derangement syndrome. Barbie said, yeah, I got a sound. Congratulations. Lee, good morning. Said a little late checking in. Well, good to see you here either way. TX Trump babe said he should retire, play golf, and relax after his term. You talking about Trump? I think that's pretty much what he's going to do. Lee, thank you for the Go Popular show. Thanks for the follow. Camulus said the Dems are going to wait till last minute to set up an identity. I think they should do it now. If they want to win in 2026, they need to get an identity now. Barbie says to write her book. People think she used ChatGPT to write her book. I haven't read her book yet, so I got to see. I got to read it first before I can judge if it's ChatGPT or not. I'd rather it be in her own words because that'll give me a better feel for who she is. Dean said, everything I said in my first section, no, that's false.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Matt Edges said they are doing... Matt Edges, I mispronounced your name the first time. Said they're doing a special election in California. It says on the ballot, if you're with Trump, vote yes. Oh, yeah? I didn't know about this. What's the vote for? Tish said, not only are you a cool guy, you're also hilarious. Well, thank you. Cedric Wright said, do you have a topic for today? Well, the topic I start at 8 o'clock, Cedric Wright. So the topic today was Trump negotiating a peace deal in Gaza. So that's what I talked about for the first hour. And now I'm just reading comments. Now I'm just responding to the comments. So you missed the topic. But you can always watch the replay. It's on my YouTube channel. Links in my profile. Echoes, thanks for the share. J. Rocket said, choosing the president of the United States should not be a popularity contest. Okay. Well, who are you telling that to? You want to tell that to the American people that they should choose based on what? What criteria, J. Rocket, do you think they should choose based on? And if whatever criteria you think it should be based on, then you tell me what candidate would win based on the criteria that you come up with. Everything in life that is based on people voting is always going to be a popularity contest because people pick who they like and they don't pick who they don't like. Again, the Emmys, the Oscars, the Grammys, sports MVP awards, political debates, not debates, but elections. All those things are based on who's the most popular person, who is the most liked individual. That is a popularity contest. That's the way life works. So, Jay Rocca, I suggest that instead of trying to change this, you just get with the reality of human nature. This has been going on for a long time. I don't know how old you are, but hopefully you're under the age of 25, saying something like that. But this is the way it always has been. Jessica Berry said, do you think we will hear directly from Hamas or just heard from Israel? Well, I don't know. I don't know if they make public statements the way the presidents of like somebody like Bibi or Trump does. Matt Edges said, if you're against Trump, vote yes. If you're for Trump, vote no. Look that up. California special election. Well, what are they voting on? What's the point? What's the point of the election, Matt? I don't live in California, so I don't care about the election. But since you brought it up, I'm just asking you to give us context. What is it for? Army said Trump did not achieve anything. Okay. And what am I supposed to say to that? Sam said, I want the president to say the truth. If you can't end it before the inauguration, don't say that. Well, that's not what political campaigns are about, Sam. You are misreading the room. Point of a political campaign is not to, quote unquote, tell you the truth. Point of a political campaign is to tell you what gets you excited and engaged enough to vote for the candidate, and then you vote, and then the president does what they want to do. That's the way it works. Now, if any of you don't like that reality, don't try to change the reality. What you can do is you can run for president, and you can win, and then you can do it your way. But in order for you to win, guess what you got to do? The same thing that you're criticizing. So this is the way it works. And I think many of you understand this, but it sounds good to get on your soapbox and rail against it while you don't have to put any skin in the game.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Lil J said, I will end the wars on day one. Yes. So when someone says I will do something on day one, does that literally mean that they're going to do it the first day, and if they don't do it, they're lying? Is that how people interpret it? I don't think most people interpret things that way. If I say I'm going to get something done on day one, what I'm saying is going to be one of my top priorities, and that's where I'm going to go. That's the direction that I'm headed in. Doesn't necessarily mean on my very first day. My first day is January 21st. That means on January 21st, by the close of business, I have to have done all these things. Colloquially, that's not what it means. So in the legal sense, this is called the reasonable person doctrine. And what it means is a judge will look at a situation, and when two sides are arguing about something such as this, in the wars on day one, what would a reasonable person expect that to mean? Does a reasonable person think that means that you literally have to get all these things done on the very first day at work? Is that what a reasonable person expects? No. Reasonably, we all know what that means. It means that it is my main priority. It's one of my top priorities. It's one of the first things I'm going to focus on. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get done by the close of business by 5 p.m. on Tuesday. So cut it out. This is TDS. This is what I mean.
Emotional, damn it.
J. Rocket said, if TDS is a thing, so is liberal derangement syndrome. No, it's not. That's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
It's also a false equivalence. You're saying if one thing exists, then the other thing has to exist. That's not true.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
No one has liberal derangement syndrome because there are not a bunch of people on the political right who are so emotionally against the liberals that they just take anything the liberals say or do and get super emotional about it. As a matter of fact, most people don't even talk about what the liberals do. They usually are talking about what the liberals have done or said in response to Trump, because Trump controls the frame of everything politically right now. And we all understand that because J. Rocker, you just did it. You just proved it. You took something about Trump and you tried to flip it around because the frame is Donald Trump. So the frame for the liberals is Trump. The frame for the conservatives is Trump. Everybody's frame is Donald Trump. Which is why, look, I'm talking about Donald Trump right now. I'm just reading the comments, and a bunch of you who disagree keep commenting because you can't help it because Trump is the frame. If I was talking about the liberals, you probably wouldn't be leaving comments because there'd be nothing to talk about. It's not interesting. Cedric Wright said, okay, just comments today. No, Cedric, that's a straw man. I just explained to you.
Strawberry cheesecake.
I read comments every day, Cedric. I don't know if this is your first time here. The first half of my live, I go over the subject and I talk. Then the second half, I read and reply to the comments. I'm in the second half now. You came in during the second half. So every day I do the same thing. J. Rocker said, I'm trying to understand why we're giving him credit for something he hasn't actually done. Well, he has done something. He got them to agree to a framework of a deal. That's not doing something. John Jordan, thanks for the share. Sam said, guarantee Zoran enforces the law once he's mayor of New York. BB will be arrested if he steps foot. Yeah, we'll see. Do you live in New York? I'm interested to hear how New York is once Zoran actually starts implementing the stuff that he's claiming he's going to do, which will be in early 2026. Sam said, I pre-ordered the book and read it. She's brilliant. Okay. Sam, are you a paid Democratic influencer? If so, if not, you should be. You should go get a job as a paid Democratic influencer. You think Kamala Harris is brilliant. I think Kamala's done a good job of being a politician. I do not find her brilliant. What was the most insightful thing you got from the book, Sam, since you read it? TX Trump Babe said, ain't no way Trump could have done that. I mean, Kamala could have done that, excuse me. Oh well. Miss B said, "I'll get more use out of a bag of manure."
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
I don't even know what you're referring to, but that's funny. Elijo said, "Used to debate with Dean Withers, biggest lib creator on TikTok." I've seen him. Debate with him about what? I don't even like those debates that those people do. I find them entertaining. It's interesting that two people get on camera and argue with each other, but that would not be a good use of my time and attention to argue with another person for what end? Because I'm not going to change his mind about anything. He's not going to change my mind. The only thing we'd be doing it for is to entertain the audience. And hopefully we're both trying to get a couple slam dunk points that we can pull out of context and we can put it on social media. And Dean can say, look at me slam dunking on this guy. And I can pull a point out and say, look at me slam dunking on him. But what actually gets achieved? The answer is nothing gets achieved. So it's not even really a debate. It is, but it isn't. It's really an argument competition is what they should call it. That's really what it is. It's just who's better at arguing and pulling the argument out of context and then putting it on social media to prove that you made a point against the other person. But are you actually getting anybody to change their mind or think different or learn anything new? For the most part, none of them are doing it. And I'm talking about people on the right as well as people on the left. But Elijo, I understand what you're saying. I'm not even knocking the idea. I don't like it, but I understand it because it's very entertaining and a lot of people like to watch them. I even listen to a few of them. I listened to Charlie Kirk's. Candace Owens did one. What's the chick's name? Amanda Seals did one. I listened to that one. Patrick Bet David did one. I listened to that. And there was some dude who's like some old white billionaire. He did one. It was interesting enough. Myron, what's that guy's name? Myron Gaines. Is it Myron Gaines? Whatever his name is. Myron, who lives down here in Miami. He did one. It was interesting enough. They're entertaining, but are they really informative? To me, they're not. Daniel said, Trump could cure cancer and liberals will be angry. I agree. And Ruthie said, then she said the border was secured. Yeah, the border was never secured. Well, it was secured. It was securely open. They wanted it like that. So it was exactly what they wanted. They were correct. Joe Rakestraw, you're welcome. User said, not to mention Kamala was first pushing her Indian culture, then black culture. Trump was right to say. Yeah, he kind of distanced himself from it when they asked him a gotcha question during the debates because Trump's an old white guy. So they would have used that against him. But let's say I was in Trump's position. They asked me that. I would say, yeah, I don't think she is. She's claiming black to try to win black votes. But see, she couldn't use it. She was going against a black person. But that wasn't the situation. Nana Cat said he settled 8 wars. Yeah, somebody else pointed out a list. So fair enough. Jay Rocket said he's done a lot. Cost up, inflation up, unemployment up, approval rating down. The stock market is way up right now, Jay Rocket. What about that? And approval rating don't matter. He's not running for anything. Who cares about his approval rating? He's already the president. Who does he need to be approved of? By who and why? Sam said Kamala's name was on every ballot. Joe Biden's was on. So are you trying to, by transitive property, say that Kamala won the election? Because if so, stop it.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Crazy Grace said, I appreciate your time in the stream now. It's very well said, very informative. Thank you. Well, thank you, Grace. Dollar Store Goo Boy said, do you think you'll ever be white if you speak slow and clear enough? Really? Is that really what you came here with?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And are you intimating, Dollar Store Goo Boy, that if you speak slowly and clearly, that's speaking white? To me, that's speaking English. But if you know something that I don't know, please let me know.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Ruthie said, and say she was the first black American VP. Well, most people look at things as black or white. So Kamala, she's more black than she is white. So I don't mind giving her the first black VP. But if she wants to go and start making black claims that she's actually black because she went to an HBCU and Trump's going against me because I'm a black woman. Now you're starting to weaponize your blackness, and now you're going to start getting the attention of people like me. And we're going to find out, are you actually black? Then it becomes a different conversation. I was born in 1982. I'm 43 years of age, Matt Johnson. I do not mind you asking. Nisos, thank you for the follow. I lost my spot in the comments again. Trying to get back to where I was in the comments. Sorry, here I am. Now, I think we'll get through these today. Echo says, a woman, I pray we never have a woman president in my lifetime. Well, I don't think you have to pray. You just vote. If we just vote, if a woman comes up and she's actually good, then maybe she'll win. So Allison said, I think we will, just not her. Yeah, it depends on who it is. It depends on who it is and who they're running against also. DJ Donamite said, if Harris is the 2028 nominee, it's 4 more years of a Republican president, thank God. I don't think she's winning the primary. I don't think she can beat Gavin Newsom. And I'm not sure she can beat AOC. She might be able to beat AOC or Pete just because she has a big fan base right now. If she hadn't been VP already, then I'd say she had no chance. She has a chance because she's been VP. So Murphy the Mutt said, I love triple doubles. Yeah. Let me see. Where am I? CJ Gator said, I don't think it'll be a long time before a woman will be president. Maybe. It depends on who the woman is. Depends on who it is. User said, not sure I like all these crazy sounds you play now. Well, that's fine. You're not sure that you like them, but I still am playing them because I make all the decisions here. This is a dictatorship.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Echo said, all ears from now on out. Great. Dollar Store Glue Boy, thank you for the follow. So you criticized me and said that I'm trying to sound white by speaking slowly and articulately. Then you followed me. So I guess you love it anyway. Allison, thanks for the follow. Lil J said, you ignored multiple comments. I can't read every comment. There are more comments than I have time. Caleb said, just curious, if you have no political affiliation, who do you vote for, or do you mean on socials? Well, my vote, my choice. And I look at voting the same way I look at someone's medical records. Is not my business who you vote for, is not your business who I vote for. So I don't talk about who I vote for. I have no political affiliation. I have no money ever received from either political party. And do I mean on socials? No, I don't mean on socials. I mean, period. I did a whole live, by the way, Caleb, to answer your question even in more in depth. I did a 2-hour live, might have been 3 hours, back in September of last year, about a year ago, who you should vote for in the election. And in that, I'm not even going to bury the lead here. The outcome was you should vote for yourself. And I explained metaphorically what that means, meaning that it's not about a political party. It's not about Trump or Kamala. It's not about the Democrats or the Republicans. And I've maintained, any of you who've been watching this for a while, y'all can co-sign this in the comments. Put the word co-sign in the comments. You ever heard me say that you should not depend on the government, you should not trust the government, and you should not put your trust behind any politician ever, because they're not in the business of helping you anyway. Put co-sign in the comments. You ever heard me say that? I've been saying that I've been saying it for a long time, but on these lives, I started doing these lives, especially on TikTok last August. So it's been about a little bit over a year that I've been doing these lives, but I've been saying that over and over again. If you're a fan of Trump or Kamala or Biden or Obama, cool. And if you like them, fine. Trump is a little bit different animal because he's not a traditional politician, but all these lifetime politicians, Newsom, Obama, Biden, Bush, Clinton, Kamala, these people who have just been in politics their entire lives, they are not to be trusted. They don't care about you. They are not here to help you. They're in the business of furthering their careers, which means having access to money and power through politics. And if they happen to help you in the process, great. And if they happen to screw you in the process, also great, because it's not about you. So people often will ask me, every once in a while, somebody will ask me, what political party am I connected to? None of them. I don't trust any of these mofos. So no, I'm not connected to anybody and never will be. So any of you ask me would I ever run for a political office, then I would have to go against what I just told you. I don't trust them, and it's a dirty game. It's much dirtier than it looks from the outside looking in. I'm not even on the inside, but knowing what I know is dirty. And why would I leave entrepreneurship to go work for the government? Hell no. Sam said, Trump is such a good negotiator, but he got Mexico to agree with what Biden already did and thought he won. Now, who the hell cares what Mexico agrees with? Mexico ain't got no power. Sam, that's the best you can come up with? Donnie Zest, good morning over there on Instagram. Nobody cares what Mexico has to say. We could do to Mexico the same thing that Israel could do to Gaza if we wanted to. I care about Mexico. Sam, you run out of material. American Me, good morning from New Hampshire. Let's see. American Me said, I'm very happy about the peace deals President Trump made. Well, good. That's what we've been talking about here today. Tired Cajun Trucker said, my 401k just keeps having babies since comes back. I don't know what that means. J. Rocker said, I'm not changing your argument. I'm guessing based on what you already said. Yeah, you guessed, and then you framed your question, your alleged question around a guess, which was a reframe of what I said in your frame. That makes it a straw man. What you just explained is why it was a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Save said, joining the channel, learning a lot. Thank you. Light said, second time watching him so far, I don't see normal propaganda. Time will tell. What propaganda? What makes something propaganda? So a lot of people like to throw this term around. Propaganda. What's the difference between propaganda and someone just having an opinion? Renee Luis, thanks for the follow. Cheryl, thanks for the follow. JR, thanks for the follow. Tired Cajun Trucker said, I don't think the Dems stab a chance in 2026 or 2028. Tired Cajun Trucker, I disagree with that. They got a chance in every election. About half the voters are Democrat, half are Republican. It comes down to a small percentage, about 5% of voters determine the outcome. So there's always a chance. Everyone, both sides always have a puncher's chance, at least as things currently stand. Founder said, you're going to love that Mexican state of Puerto Rico. If that's intel Trump got from our people, I don't know what you're saying there. Tom said, been watching you since the basketball video days, man. I appreciate you, Tom. Tom, cybersecurity. Roseanne said, rumors are Abel Tesfaye loves Miami too. Who's that? I don't know who that is. Ruthie said, it's not. Majority of Americans chose Trump. My state, Pennsylvania, turned red. Amish came out and voted. Well, Ruthie, it was red for that election. Now, it might be blue again. Did Trump win Pennsylvania in 2020? So I wouldn't go as far as to say Pennsylvania turned red. I'd say they were red for that election. But Pennsylvania is still very much purple. And I'm from Philadelphia, so shout out to Pennsylvania. But I wouldn't get cocky if I'm Pennsylvania. If you're a Republican or a conservative living in Pennsylvania, don't get cocky. You still got to go vote. Now, if you live in, I don't know, what's the state that's always red? Think of a state that's always red. I don't know which one. Montana. Okay, you can get cocky. But if you're in Pennsylvania, you still got to go vote every election. Oh, Nee said it's Newsom's election to add more Dems in the seat. I remember that. I remember that thing he was saying as a pushback to Texas. I know what you're talking about. Okay, I understand. Anastasia, thanks for the lightning bolt. 64 lightning bolts. Thank you, Anastasia. And thank you to everybody else who's been sending gifts. I didn't shout out everybody, but thank you for the gifts and the likes, everybody. Angela said, I have enjoyed watching you and appreciate that you are so impartial. You just state facts. Well, thank you. J. Rocker said, J. Rocker, you're doing it again. So we don't care that he said something and didn't follow through. We are doomed as a society. J. Rocker, you run out of material.
Strawberry cheesecake.
we are doomed as a society. That's your conclusion. Crazy Grace said, I never watched anyone's live. However, I decided to pause on yours and feel better off for doing so. Well, I'm glad I was able to improve your quality of life. My phone's ringing. J. Rocker says, so again, you're dressing up him lying. That's not a lie. He didn't lie. Now, Trump does lie. All politicians lie, but what you're pointing out is not a lie. Jennifer Stewart, thank you. Shannon Burt said, you're a breath of fresh air. Trump is doing an amazing job. God bless our president. All right, thank you. Let's see. Will J said, Zoran will definitely arrest Bibi. Well, what if Bibi doesn't come to New York? Then what's Zoran going to do? Nothing, because he doesn't have any power. He didn't win the election yet. And even then, again, people got to be careful drawing a line between what a politician says they're going to do and what they actually do. You should watch what they actually do and not get excited about what they say they're going to do. You get excited about what a politician tells you they're going to do, you're always going to be disappointed, because the whole point is to oversell yourself so you can win, and then you do what you actually want to do. No politician in history that any of you, let's say as long as any of us has been alive, told you they were going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and then they did every single thing they said. No politician has done that to the letter. There's not one. Why? Because it's damn near impossible. Cheetah Monk said, do you believe the corrupt federal judges are the cartel in the USA? I wouldn't call them a cartel, but I understand what you're saying. I get what direction you're going to. Lil J said, Dean will cook buddy, I will cook buddy. Well, Lil J, you wouldn't cook nothing. That's why you in the comments. Now, if you would really cook, you should be doing your own live. And I wouldn't even get in a debate with any of these professional, full-time debaters. As I already explained, wouldn't be a good use of my resources. Let's see. Papa Central said debates are critical. Yeah, if you're having a real debate. The debate between Kamala and Trump and the debate between Walz and Vance were critical because we wanted to see what they both had to say on the issues in front of the spotlight, because that's the job that they were auditioning for. Now, two people from, let's say, YouTube debating, or some person, let's say I do one of those things where I sit in the middle of the room and then people run up and start going back and forth with me for 5 minutes. Is that critical? No, that's not critical. That's entertainment. Entertainment is useful, but it's not critical. Jessica says, Zoran wants to remove gifted and talented program in schools. Why? High achievers promoted is bad. Well, I know some other people who've been high achievers in school who also talk like this. Maybe not exactly what he said, but they talk like that. But they're trying to kick away the ladder. They got to the top of the top floor, and now they want to kick away the ladder so other people can't get up there with them, so that basically secures their positions and they can't be competed with. That's the way I see it. Crazy Grace said, J-Rock, go to the library and educate yourself. Okay. So a few more comments here, folks. Where was I? So I see a bunch of you already know. I've been saying it for a long time about about politics. I'm not a fan of politicians in general, especially career politicians. Any full-time politician, I'm not a fan. I mean, not full-time, excuse me. Career politicians like Newsom, Bush, Clinton, Romney, Obama, Biden, Harris, AOC, Bernie Sanders, all of these people are corrupt. To be in politics, you have to be corrupt. It's a very dirty game. Genghis said, if people are bitching, he's doing his job. I agree. Jennifer Stewart said, I'm doing great under Trump. Small business owner with 34 employees. Shout out to the small business owners. Marky said, gold is at an all-time high. Yeah, everything is up right now. Jessica Berry said, gold is up to $4,000 an ounce. He's doing something right. Yes, Am said, really love your lives in the mornings. Thank you. Really enjoy your live in the morning. Thank you, Ams. Katie says she's Indian, Irish, and Jewish, not even black. Katie, I concur. Johns, thanks for the follow. Frank, thanks for the shares. Renee Louise said, what are people saying in Kamala? I don't get it. She never really said anything. Well, I'll tell you what people are saying in Kamala. Number one, she was already the vice president. So people who were with Biden are going to ride with her because Biden endorsed her. Number two, she was going against Donald Trump. So anybody who doesn't like Donald Trump is going to ride with her. So she had that going for her. Number three, she's a female. There's a bunch of people, females and males in America, who want to see a woman as the leader, not because of who the woman is, but just because she's a woman. Number four, she's a person of color. And there's a bunch of people in America, of color and not of color, who want to see a person of color in leadership, not because of who they are, but because they're a person of color. Number five, she's a Democrat. And there are a bunch of people who are going to vote Democrat no matter who the candidate is, not because of who they are, but because they're a Democrat. So there's five things that people saw in Kamala Harris, none of which have anything to do with the substance of Kamala Harris. That's why she still has a chance, because of these five things. And then you add on to that she was already the vice president. Add on to that she was already technically the nominee. And she got a bunch of votes in 2024 in the election. Even though she didn't win, she still got a bunch of votes. And she got a bunch of fans. And she's selling a bunch of books right now. And she's going on a press tour about this right now. All of these things are multipliers of her popularity. So she has a chance in 2028. I don't think she's going to win. But you can't count her out as if she has no chance. She has a chance because of all those things. So hopefully that answers the question. Rand Beasy said, you're a Democrat. Me? I'm not a Democrat. Papa Central said, black Republican. I'm not that either. So I got one person calling me a Democrat, and in the very next comment, somebody calls me a Republican. So this is good. This is good that people are saying this. I'm actually going to take a picture of that because this is exactly where it should be. So one person calls me a Democrat. Next person calls me a black Republican in back-to-back comments. So I'm going to post this on my Instagram story. So those of you who are on Insta, if you're not following me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. All right. Anyway, continuing. Barbara said, I myself will never vote a woman in. Well, I think leadership is a position for men. Generally, that's what I look at it as. TX Trump babes, I don't care who you vote for. I enjoy your perspective of things. Well, thank you. So a bunch of you co-signing that. Y'all know I've been saying over and over again, politicians are not to be trusted or depended on. Jay Rocker said, you asked if those other men in the room would respect Kamala suggesting no one will vote for no, I wasn't suggesting. I will even tell you directly. You don't have to suggest things, Jay Rocker. You just ask me and I'll tell you. I have a very direct style of communication, so I don't have to suggest anything. I'm not much of a suggester. I'm a decider, and I will tell people exactly what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling. Papa said Trump is the most corrupt ever. Okay. Well, I mean, you can pretty much say that about any president, depending on what you call corruption. You can call all of them corrupt, and in some way, you could find a way to be correct. Duchess 64, thanks for the follow. Roseanne said, thoughts on Jasmine Crockett? Is she better than AOC? No, she's not better than AOC. She is good at the internet game. You got to understand. Well, we have to first of all establish the frame. What frame are we talking about when we say better? Jasmine Crockett is good at the internet game and dropping maybe little one-liners that may get some attention on social media. But if we're talking politics and her actually moving up in politics and actually being a real force in the Democratic Party, no, she's nothing. She's entertaining. She is. I'm trying to think of something that I could compare her to. Jasmine Crockett is like she's like a bag of M&Ms compared to a full course meal. That's what she is. She's like, everybody wants the M&Ms. M&Ms are fun. It's good to eat the M&Ms, but you can't build a meal around M&Ms. AOC has some actual substance to what she's saying. I don't agree with AOC's positioning. She is like the daughter of Bernie Sanders, basically, the long lost bastard daughter of Bernie Sanders, and she's all into this socialist nonsense. I'm not a fan of that, but AOC has some substance behind that argument. I don't agree with the argument, but there is substance behind it. What is Jasmine Crockett's thing? What is she standing on? What is her substance? What is her form? She doesn't have any. She just says shit that gets a lot of attention on the internet, and it gets her on CNN, and it gets her interviewed because she does things that drives clicks and views, and that leads to ad revenue. That's why she's popular. She's popular because she says things that gets the TV cameras to notice her. Getting the TV cameras to notice you and having actual substance are two different things. Back in the days of kings and queens, there were courts. And in the court, there was a court jester. The court jester's job was to draw attention and be a sideshow and get everybody to notice them and laugh for a little bit to be a diversion from the serious business. The court jester was good at drawing attention, but do they have any actual substance? No. Could they ever actually be the king? No. Jasmine Crockett is similar to that. I'm not saying she's a court jester necessarily, but she's not that far from it. She's good at drawing attention, but she has no substance. AOC has actual substance. Again, I don't agree with AOC's substance, but she has substance. Jasmine Crockett does not have substance. So that's how I feel about Jasmine Crockett. Ruthie said more and more Democrats are turning Republican. I've heard, but not enough. There's still going to be a battle. There's still going to be a battle between Democrats and Republicans. So the battle's not going to be, in our lifetimes, the battle's not going to be over. So any of you on any side, let's also ask about Jasmine Crockett. So I already gave you an answer to that. Teresa said, you're very insightful and impartial. Thank you. Freedom Rider said, no president will ever fulfill every promise unless they own the House and Senate, not just majority. Even then, even if a president comes in and let's say they're a Democrat and this House and the Senate are all 100% Democrat, 100%, they still can't do everything they said they were going to do because the system of checks and balances could still get in their way. And secondly, there's a whole lot of things that they have to do that require some engagement from parties outside of just Congress. So they'll never be able to do everything. Trump said he would end wars. So the wars can't be ended by Congress. He still has to go negotiate. So nobody will ever be able to do everything. That's the whole point. That's why, again, no president can ever fulfill everything they said they're going to do. Teresa and Crazy Grace, thanks for the follow. Jennifer said, that's why I voted for Trump 3 times. He is not a politician. I understand that positioning. I completely understand that positioning. I think he's a better deal than career politicians who are Hillary Clinton was not to be trusted. Kamala Harris was not to be trusted. And I don't think Joe Biden was either. But I understand why they got votes at the same time. Lava, thanks for the follow. Miss B said, everything is up except for wages. Fair enough. Well, that's why you shouldn't be just not for nothing. None of you want to put yourself in a position where all of your resources are based on your wages because for several reasons. Number one, you can get fired from your job. Number two, that wages don't go up as fast as inflation goes up. Number three, if your resources, your financial resources are based on your wages, that means you have to keep giving time in order to make money always. And as soon as you stop working, your money stops completely. That's a bad situation to be in because you might get sick, get injured. You might go on vacation. You might get hurt. You might get fired. And at some point you want to retire. So you don't want everything to be based on wages. Even if you make wages, there's nothing wrong with that. Most people do. What you want to do is take some of your money and put it into something that can produce money for you even when you're not working, also known financially as an asset. So those are investments. Those are things like crypto, like stocks, like any other type of investment vehicles. This is not financial advice, by the way. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where all your money is based on wages, because that's a precarious position to be in, especially in today's world. So you're right that everything's up except for wages. And even if wages were up, they're not up as fast as inflation is up, which puts anybody who's dependent on wages in a tough spot. I get it. That's why you want to invest in other things. The good thing about investing, ladies and gentlemen, as opposed to back in the day, is that back in the day, if you wanted to be an investor, and I'm not talking that long ago, 20 years ago, you wanted to be an investor, you had to often be accredited, meaning you had to show that you had to have an income of like $250,000. What is accredited? Accredited, I think, is either 200 or 250,000, one or the other. It was one of those numbers, or you had to have a net worth of like $1 million. You had to prove it. And if you had those things, then you were allowed to invest. Back in the day, not that long ago, I'm talking this century, 20 years ago, if you wanted to invest in a stock, you had to put in a minimum amount. You had to buy a minimum amount of like $10,000 worth of stock if you want to invest in stock. Nowadays, you can do all of that stuff. You don't have to be accredited to invest. You can invest. You can buy $1 worth of Bitcoin right now. You go on Coinbase and buy $1 Bitcoin right now. You go on any app, Robinhood, and buy $1 worth of Apple stock right now. You could invest in the S&P 500 with $50 right now, or $1 if you want. So any one of you can be an investor right now with any amount of money. That wasn't the case back in the days of our parents. So, and our parents might have been able to live off wages because the situation wasn't what it is now. So any of you who's 100% your income or your resources financially are based on wages, well, change the equation. Take some of your money and put it into investment vehicles. And you can do that with as little as $1 nowadays. Again, none of this is financial advice. Speak to a professional financial advisor, or your financial, or an attorney, or anybody who handles your money, or an accountant, certified accountant, before making any financial decisions. All right, that's my disclaimer. Tim Stepp said, "You just spoke the truth. Thank you." Karina said, "We are not in a position to be giving out participation trophies. We should never give out participation trophies." Murphy the Mutt said, "Thank you. Another great day. Thank you." Genghis Khan says, "She didn't have fans. She had a party who hated Trump." Well, she got fans now. Genghis Khan. Kamala Harris has fans. This is the reality. She has fans because she's a person of color. She's a woman. She's Democrat. She's going against Trump. And now she just got beat by Trump. She has fans because she lost. Losing to Trump got her more fans than she would have got. Well, more fans than she would have got had she not lost to Trump. Losing to Trump got her fans because a lot of people don't like Trump so viscerally. Anybody who goes against him, even if they lose, people will love them just because you represent going against the person that I hate. Hillary Clinton, same thing. Michelle, good morning. Marcus said, "Are you going to read her book?" Yes, I am. I will read Kamala's book. Haven't read it yet, but I will read it. Adrian, thanks for the follow. JTP said, "You're definitely liberal." So here we go. Now somebody's accusing me of being liberal. So I've been accused of being a liberal and a conservative on the same points, on the same day, in the same live stream. Michelle said, "I don't think Kamala has a chance at all. Just my opinion." Well, she got a shot just based on the points that I gave. I don't think she's going to win, but she has a puncher's chance. Gavin has to beat her. She has to be beaten. She's not going to just fall apart this time, not like she did in 2019, but she has to be beaten. I don't think she's going to win, but she has to be beaten. Quayle said Kamala couldn't win against Newsom. I agree. Aquarian says, "Is it possible a Harris-Newsom ticket for 2028? I don't think that's actually even allowed because they're both from California. I think the rule is you can't have a president and vice president from the same state. I think that's the rule, but somebody can fact check me on that. But I think I heard that's the rule. So not really. And who's going to get behind who? Remember, Kamala Harris was at the point of running for president. So why would she get behind Gavin Newsom? She's probably looking at Gavin Newsom like, "What, you want me to be under you? I'm the one who ran for. I'm the one who was at the cusp. You haven't even been at the cusp. You get under me." And then Gavin Newsom will look at her and say, "Why would I get under you when I'm way better at politics than you? I'm a better speaker than you. I got more fans than you. I got a bigger base than you. I'm not getting under you." So I don't see either one of them being willing to get under the other person. So that's not going to happen. I think it would be a potent ticket for the Democrats. But first of all, I don't think it's legal. And secondly, I don't think either one of them wants to get under the other person. And if so, who would it be? Who would get under who? Would Harris get under Newsom? I don't think so. And would Newsom get under Harris? Also don't think so. I think if they would have had an open primary last year, Newsom would have beat Kamala. Chris said, "It's so weird that someone called you a black Republican. I don't know what race has to do with it." Well, they're putting the black part on there as a way. I don't know what this person was doing, but some people use it as a pejorative. Or you're black and you're with the Republican side as if that is you can't do it, as if you're not allowed to do it. Because a lot of black people have been conditioned to be Democrat. That goes back to my parents' generation, back to the 60s. Barbie said, I watched an interview with Kamala promoting her book. She is blaming Democrats and Sleepy Joe. Well, of course she is. What do you expect her to do? That's what women do. I'm not saying all women, but this is one of the reasons that women generally shouldn't be in leadership positions. When they lose, the first thing they do is start pointing fingers at everything other than themselves. They don't take ownership of what actually happened. Now, a man may do that for the cameras. Trump did it for the cameras. But I think at the same time, behind closed doors, Trump said, what did I do in this situation to put me like this so that it doesn't happen again? As an entrepreneur, I'm talking about Trump, who's been around for a long time. I know he did that because otherwise he couldn't survive as an entrepreneur not doing it. Jay Rocker said, you're co-signing people not voting for a woman. Multiple comments are saying it too. All right, so this is what we call the bandwagon fallacy.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
A bunch of people saying something does not make it true and doesn't make it more legitimate just because a bunch of people agree with it. A bunch of people agree with slavery. And say, I'm co-signing people not voting for a woman. No, I'm not. I just laid out 7 reasons why she has a chance. What are you talking about? A few more comments, then we'll wrap this up. Shar Star said, what about Newsom? What do I think? Newsom has a very good chance. I think if it was right now, he would win Democrats. He would win the Democrat nomination if it was today. Leona Lever said, the battles between the people that take the handouts and people that support the handout. Well, what about the people who don't want the handouts? What about those people? Jasmine Jester comparison, great metaphor. Okay, thank you. I'm not really saying she's a jester, but the effect of what she does is similar in that she draws a ton of attention and she's a good sideshow, but she's not really saying anything. Brooke Martella, thank you for the share. Ginga said, imagine how great a country would be if Democrats will help instead of hinder Trump. Well, then you're asking the entire political mechanism to be completely upended and be different than how it is. Miss B said, had to be out of your mind. Think unseen gain taxes is fair. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. A few more comments here, folks, and we'll wrap this up. It's already almost 10 o'clock, so we usually stop at 10 o'clock. TJ, thanks for the follow. Gail said, you still have to be accredited for certain heads and private equity investments. Okay, fair enough. Thank you for that context, Gail just said. So you still got to be accredited if you want to get into certain investments, but nowadays you can at least get into simple investments with no accreditation, no nothing. All you got to do is just sign up and connect your bank account and buy stuff. Take chances said, never disappointed watching your lives. Gail said, I doubt she'll run. Gail, I think she's very much going to run. What else is she going to do? Kamala ain't doing nothing else. I mean, she's already been as close as you can get. I don't think she's going to take a step backwards. I think Kamala is very ambitious. I don't think she has a lot of substance, but I do believe she's a very ambitious woman. And her doing this book tour and soaking up all the adulation from it after losing as badly as she did, losing all the swing states, I think this is giving her actually more motivation that she has a chance. And she's not going to be going against Trump next time. So I think she thinks she has a chance. And I'm going to say Harris will get under anyone. Okay, I think I set everybody up for that one. Okay. O-Dog over there on YouTube said, is Kamala black? Then Candace Owens exposed that. Yeah, she did a whole deep dive on Kamala. And no, I did a whole live on Kamala as well. I don't think she is. Judge Joe Brown said he met Kamala's dad, and he's the connection to her blackness. And he said that he was Hindu and Irish. That's what he said. Judge Joe Brown said he met Kamala Harris's dad back in the day because Kamala Harris's dad was something. He was moving around in circles that Joe Brown was in. And Kamala Harris's dad told Joe Brown, I am Indian and Irish. And he is the guy between her and her father that makes Kamala, quote unquote, black, and she's claiming Jamaica. But according to what Candace deep dive, that they're actually not from Jamaica. They were just in Jamaica. So there's a whole conversation around that that was already had last year. And Karina said, I think she's going to do her book run and get back into hiding. I don't think so. I think Kamala's more ambitious than many of you think. She may put on the face of being this silly person with very little substance, but I believe she's a very ambitious individual. And that ambition is going to drive her to run again. Gail said, what? Men point fingers all the time. Again, I said, men will point fingers publicly, but a man who's going to step into leadership positions has to point the finger at himself. I believe Trump, behind closed doors, looks at himself. I read Trump's books. So I know how he talks about, when he's talking seriously about business, he says, I always have to come back to myself. What did I do to put myself in this position to where this happened? Even if what happened wasn't his fault, you still take ownership. A lot of women don't do that. A lot of women's natural frame is blaming someone else. Kamala's book, she blamed the guy whose name I can't say on here, the bald-headed guy who lives in Romania, and Myron Gaines. Is it Myron Gaines? Is that his last name? Whatever his last name is. Myron, that guy from Fresh and Fit. She blamed them for drawing attention and getting her losing ground with young males. Like, what? What did you do? And she didn't take any ownership of the situation, which is crazy. So yes, men do point fingers all the time. I'm not saying they don't. Limitless said, could she win the whole election? If she gets to the final two, anybody can win. Anybody in the final two can win. I don't think she can win the nomination. Darren said her book is going to flop. No, Darren, her book is already doing well. She's already made the bestseller list. She's selling a lot of books. Now, the actual quality of the writing, I don't know yet because I haven't read the book. But her book's not flopping, Darren. She's actually selling books. Selling books does not mean you're smart, intelligent, or anything. It just means you sold books. It just means you're good at sales in some way. What Kamala does, she sells books in bulk. So those of you who don't know the book game, you don't know the publishing game well, understand how the publishing works, is that you can sell books in bulk. So Kamala is, again, she's a vice president. She can go to big organizations and say, hey, buy 50,000 copies of my book. And if you do that, I'll come speak at your school. And that's what she does. So that's how she sells so many copies. It's not like individuals are going out and just buying her book like word of mouth. It's not like that. That's not how she's selling books. She's not selling books like some random nobody that just writes a great book and then everybody starts talking about it. She's not like Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week. It's not like that. She's not Robert Kiyosaki. What she's doing is selling books in bulk because of her popularity. I'm not knocking her hustle. If I was her, I would sell books in bulk too. Shit. You want to buy 50,000 copies of my book? I will gladly sell you 50,000 copies of my book. Business is business. So I still need to read it so I can see what she has to say. I don't think there's going to be a ton of substance, but I will read the book with an open mind. Karina said, Tate's response was funny. Yeah, it was. I got to be careful saying his name. I'll be careful saying that guy's name. By the way, speaking of books, you want to get a copy of my book. I'm not selling this in bulk, but I will give you one for free. All we ask is that you cover the shipping. Just go to thirddaybook.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Go to thirddaybook.com. I'll give you this free. Just cover the shipping. Again, third day, and then the word book.com. The book free is cover shipping. I will ship you a physical copy of this book. This book is the subtitle, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. It's all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. Again, it's called The Third Day. This is my most popular book with professional audiences. Even Kamala Harris should read this book. How do you show up when you don't feel like showing up? That's The Third Day. And also my text number is in my bio on TikTok or is in the pinned comment on these other apps. And I got 2 new books on the way. We're waiting for them to come to the printer. I was just looking at the shipping today. They are still, it is telling me, last I checked, October 17th through the 20th for the paperbacks. And I got hardcovers coming the 23rd to the 29th. So we are still 2 weeks away from these books arriving, 2 to 3 weeks away from these books arriving. But one of these I didn't even announce, but the other one I've done a program on called The Power of Presence. I'm really excited about this book. This is the master field manual to really what my entire brand is about, this Power of Presence protocol. That one's coming soon. I got a whole program on that. The book is not even the main course. The main course is the training program. You want to get into my training programs and mastermind around power of presence, text the word power to the number in my bio. My number, again, is 305-384-6894. Text the word power. You want to step up your discipline, your command of the room, your confidence, your communication skills to the point that people can notice you, feel you, and remember you, even if they never even hear you speak. That is called the Power of Presence. I have an entire program around this. This field manual is probably, how long is this? This thing's about 350 pages. Because I had to put so much material in there, but it's not like some book you just have to sit through boring and read. It's like an encyclopedia more than it is a traditional book. That is coming soon. That is for males and females. I wrote it with the man in mind because about man having command presence, but the women can use this as well, especially those of you in leadership positions, those of you who run businesses, those of you who are heads of households, those of you who just want to have more stature, more energy, more presence when you carry yourself through the world. That is the Power Presence. If you want to get into my next training program, I think the next one we're going to do is going to start November 1st. So it's October 9th. So that gives you all 3 weeks exactly, a little bit more than 3 weeks to get ready for it. That's going to start on November 1st. What I'm going to do is a training program of it, live training that'll usually be through Zoom calls and a group chat in WhatsApp. Then we're going to graduate you to a coaching program, which will probably be a 3-month coaching program. And we'll also offer one-on-one coaching. That is called the Power Presence. I'm building that out right now. So I'm not finished building it out. So I'll probably be announcing that sometime next week. I'll talk to you all about it again. And if you're in my texting group, then you'll get text messages about it. If you're on my email list, you'll get emails about it. So go get this book. You'll be on my email list, thirddaybook.com. Make sure you text me, 305-384-6894. Text me the word power, and I'll tell you about that program. If you want to know, if you want the links to all the stuff that I talk about in my live, just text me the word live. So if you text the word power once, and you text the word live once, then I'll send you 2 different links for both of these. I'm giving y'all too many different times. I usually only give you one thing, but these are things that I'm thinking about right now because this is what I'm working on at the time. So text me, 305-384-6894. You'll be in my texting group. And when I send out texts, daily motivation every day, weekly motivation every Monday, you want to get those texts straight to your phone. Just like any normal text message, text me at my number, 305-384-6894. Again, thirddaybook.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Thirddaybook.com. The book's free. Cover the shipping. Do these live streams Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow. If you didn't like this one, come back tomorrow anyway. If you hated this one, come back tomorrow. If you were amazed by this, come back tomorrow. If you are not sure, if the jury is still out and you're not quite sure what you think about me, come back tomorrow. Can we get the 200K likes? I see we're at 199,000.5. Can we get the 200K? Just 300 more will be at 200K. We're at 199.8. 199.8. We need 200 more likes. There we go. 200,000 likes. Thank you, everybody, for helping me get the 200,000 likes. Thank you to my regulars here. Thanks to the moderators. Thanks to the new people, to the commentators. I will see you all tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. Everybody have a great Thursday. Work on your game. We are out of here.